So it's really easy to figure out which one's right and wrong. You just got to figure out for sure who's full of shit.
Welcome. If you're new here, adjust your expectations. If you're a repeated viewer, thank you very much, you beautiful people. The world is imbalanced. 2020 Justin Bieber is yoked. Eddie Bravo's turned into Joe Rogan. And let's just say, these two men ain't allowed near ball boys anymore. Hashtag restraining order. And my favorite fitness villain, Microphone Mustache, is replying to critique of his exercise science with the I'm richer than you approach. Classic. That one uncle you'd rather not hug at Christmas. The Banged CEO said supersets are bad for muscle growth. I commented, and holy, you playing a lot of notes and spewing a lot of noise. Call me when you and your boy make you first 100k. Meanwhile, we did 1.25 billion. Right now, you just a bag of noise.
Come give Uncle Bang a hug.
No video on Sellouts is complete without the supplement industry's Integrity of the Year award winner, Dr. Jim Stoppani. Do not let this man down your chimney. This will be painful. You may need to bite down on something. And if you don't know why this man is making an appearance in this video will help. But if your ears are still burning, here's why in a few seconds. He's apparently 4% body fat.
Maintaining around like 4%.
4%. You know we can see you, right?
Sells a supplement based on his anecdotal research in the gym.
Based on the real anecdotal data that I've seen in the gym.
Anecdotal meaning your opinion, the lowest form of evidence base we have. Tells people they need to supplement with his products without knowing anything about them. Tells you that you need to take a BCAA supplement in addition to a protein powder supplement. And the list goes on and on. What a pumpkin. Breaking news, I can exclusively reveal the inspiration for Jillian Michaels' performance on The Biggest Loser. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right indeed. And for any of you that have no idea who Jillian Michaels is, just think of Kathy Bates in the film Misery. And if you look up the word cringe in the dictionary, if you just read an abstract from a study and then relate it to the buying of your supplements.
For maximal muscle growth, you know what to do, folks. Stack Bangmaster Blaster pre-workout with 40 grams of SRO whey protein.
That in my book is selling out. That'd be like a person reading the back cover of a book and then telling people about the story. One piece of research is a contribution to a knowledge base. For the one study abstract he reads, there are various studies discussing the benefits of agonist-antagonist supersets for muscle growth. Research must be collectively analyzed, preferably through meta-analysis, and at the very least, not just communicating an abstract. But he is ripped like Rambo, and there is no such thing as an ugly billionaire. Humble is what that is. If you've not come across this man before and you're unaware of the level of cringe, watch this video, one of my favorites. When it comes to these absolute turkeys, what is the point of having a YouTube platform if you can't fight back against a billionaire bro science? At the end of the day, there isn't a perfect way to train. Everybody's body reacts differently to different exercises and movements, and some benefit from certain forms of training than others. Bang Energy CEO, there are ways to work out that are scientifically proven to produce more muscle and more strength. Your dismissive comment adds zero value.
Science.
Here's a nuanced discussion of supersets that you must apply to yourself. Supersets are not compulsory. They are just another tool that you may use in your muscle building protocol. The main benefit really is efficiency, the amount of work that you can do in a shorter amount of time. But there is a trade-off, those pesky trade-offs. As with everything, there are upsides and also potential downsides. Supersets are essentially 2 exercises performed back to back with minimal to no rest. And so traditional training, as it's termed in the literature, is referred to, for example, you perform one exercise, you perform a set, then you have rest, perform a set, you have rest, and then, for example, you move on to a different exercise. Whereas within supersets, this mad science involves mixing, for example, 2 exercises back to back. Of course, when it comes to supersets, you still need an element of rest and recovery, so that you can perform quality sets. You could, for example, perform exercise 1, then have a very short rest, then exercise 2, short rest back to exercise 1, or you could perform exercise 1 and 2 with no rest and then have a period of rest and then go back to that pairing. There are many different ways that you can program the protocol of supersets, but in essence, the way you structure it through your exercise selection is absolutely the key. The first consideration is your goal. If your goal is hypertrophy, the increase of sarcomeres in parallel, the increase in muscle size, then absolutely supersets is something you can consider. If your goal is performance related, such as power, then supersets are most likely not the protocol that would be the most effective for you. Supersets can be performed in many ways, and this is the slightly important part of this conversation. The agonist-antagonist method, and then the similar biomechanical movements or same muscle group protocol. If you don't know what an agonist and antagonist are, I talked about it in this video, go watch that, you cheeky people. But essentially they are opposing muscle groups. So an example of agonist-antagonist movements, supersets, would be a barbell bench press and a back row, and the benefit of using this method compared to, for example, supersetting the same muscle group, a barbell bench press supersetted with push-ups, for example, is the agonist-antagonist method allows for the efficiency of superset training, but it also allows that recovery time so that you can therefore perform quality sets. And quality can be a very intangible term with sets, I understand. But in this case, during your session, if your RPE increases due to you supersetting the same muscle groups, then that could negatively interfere with the planned amount of volume that you had for that session. And the reason for that is, of course, if exercise 1 is a barbell bench press, and if exercise 2 targets the same muscle groups, then of course your muscles are already at a level of fatigue when you go to that second exercise using those same muscles. That would contribute to why it feels harder and why your volume may decrease. The current study also acknowledges the importance of superset configuration on perceived intensity, with the agonist-antagonist pairing reporting lower RPE when compared with the agonist peripheral and similar biomechanical. And so with everything, place yourself on a spectrum. If you are a beginner, most likely supersets is not something you have to concern your mind with. You're most likely learning the competency with the major lifts. Also, your nervous system will be responding to this new stimulus of resistance training. If you are more intermediate and advanced, perhaps supersets is something you may think about incorporating into your training. And I know what you're thinking. The main researcher for supersets is a guy called Weekly. And don't worry, it's not my pen name. In fact, I'm actually the strongest in my gym. How do you bang? Please tag someone who claims to be natural. Well, that was easy. Done. The practitioner should consider utilizing supersets and trisets resistance training methods during time-constrained periods. However, with this enhanced training efficiency comes a possible need for increased recovery. Consequently, the practitioner may wish to place supersets and triset forms of training at the beginning of the training week to assist in the management of fatigue. So essentially, efficiency is a key benefit, but there are some considerations for you as to how you may structure it in relation to that much-needed recovery, which can be a downside of supersets. But most certainly, an agonist-antagonist approach is a very smart way of programming your supersets. So this is something you have to weigh up with your specific training. As with everything, apply to yourself. And if you're not familiar with Tarantino's films, firstly, how very dare you? Secondly, a lot of this won't make sense to you. However, if you have seen everything he's ever made, you are my people. Being a fitness professional is a highly caring profession at its essence, trying to help other people. It carries a great level of responsibility to it, and you're looking to promote healthy, sustainable behaviors in your clients over the long term. Or you can do what Jillian Michaels did on The Biggest Loser, which is, in my opinion, to sell out for those TV bucks and to make it big in Hollywood. The way that Jillian Michaels coached people on The Biggest Loser was horrific. Great TV, apparently, for some people, for some reason, but absolutely a horrific way of training people to promote sustainable, long-term, healthy habits, to promote a positive relationship with exercise and health. And indeed, that TV show did not seemingly seem to lay out long-term plans for the contestants after they finished on the show. And indeed, there is research into this. Now, again, it's just one piece of research, but for this specific population, it's highly telling that the contestants from this particular sample group regained the weight after they'd finished on the show. And Jillian became famous, made tons of wonga, but in my book, what she did, the way she performed that as a so-called fitness professional and personal trainer was completely selling out. But here comes the surprise twist a la Mr. Tarantino. Critique works, and Jillian Michaels recently posted a video about burning belly fat where she says that you cannot target where fat is lost from the body, targeted fat loss or spot fat reduction. Whereas in previous videos, she'd given exercise tutorials for how to burn your belly fat. And this is one example of how critique and holding people accountable absolutely can work. There are various other examples. We have people like Chris Herriot and Vince Moff who were forced essentially to change forms of their content due to Alan Roberts' intervention. And in relation to Jillian, this is one nugget of goodness from a lot of the hot air that she still continues to spew. There are, however, a few people who hold firm with their incorrect information and misleading propaganda because their egos don't allow it. Parking the bus as you were. I think I've already done a Mourinho joke. Let's move on. Vinny the Buck blocked me me a year ago because I scienced him. And hypothetically, a Devon may have got into contact with me, but ignored everything I said and continues to make daft content on his Instagram page where he performs circus tricks disguised as functional training. Some of them don't or won't change. Holding people accountable will continue. And to finish, Connor or Cowboy?